Okay, welcome. Trails End 62, and from the garden to the kitchen, we're going to be canning some tomatoes here. But this is our first real tomato crop. Some of them are ready, some of them aren't, but we wanted to have enough. Ignore the green one, that was a mistake. I cut the wrong branch. But anyway, those are our tomatoes. It's our first real crop. We've been onesies and twosies until now, but we're going to can these in quart jars. Today we are going to be canning some tomatoes from our garden. Now we're going to be pressure canning them. I know you can water bath them, and you can find the directions on how to do that. But we are going to pressure can them because it takes less time and because they'll tend to last longer. Makes me feel better to have them pressure canned because tomatoes don't have quite the acid that they used to have. As a matter of fact, you still have to add some lemon juice to each quart or pint that you pressure can. So we're going to be pressure canning these in quarts today. We've already got our canner going. You might hear it in the background. We're canning some green beans also. So as soon as our green beans gets through, we're going to go right into our tomatoes. And the first thing we're going to do, we've washed our tomatoes in a baking soda, but then we'll be blanching them, putting them in boiling water for anywhere from 40 to 60 seconds. Then we'll be plunging them into a bucket of ice water, or pan of ice water, and that will make the skins just peel right off because we're going to take the skins off of them, and then we'll cut them up and pack them into the jars. Okay, here we go. We put some tomatoes in here. We're doing 4 or 5 at a time into the boiling water. Then they go into the ice water, the cold water here. And then they come over here in the bowl. And then Mama works her magic over here on the tomatoes. The peeling slips right off, as you can see. And she'll cut them up. And they'll be ready to go in the jars. Our green beans are done and they're setting now. Cooling off in the canner, and they'll come out and we'll be ready to put in tomatoes. Now that we have all of our tomatoes processed, we're ready to put them in our jars. The first thing we do is we're going to add 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. Now we add lemon juice because it helps the acidity and it helps preserve the color. Tomatoes have been bred so that the acidity is not as much as it used to be. So the lemon juice is added to increase the acidity so that they will preserve better. So we dish our tomatoes in the jars. Making sure they're down in there. Now if we don't have enough, if it doesn't bring up enough juice to make it about a ½ inch from the top, we do have some boiling water here which we will put in to finish it up. But these are pretty juicy tomatoes, so we haven't had to add any boiling water. Now I'm raw packing these. I didn't pre-cook the tomatoes. You can pre-cook them, but we're going to raw pack them. Now get the air out of the tomatoes. Let me move these a little bit so you can see better. I get the air out of the tomatoes. And I have a little bit more there, so we're going to stick another tomato there in the top. Now some people do put salt in. You can. It's not necessary. Salt is not used for a preservative. Salt is merely used for taste. Alright, next we come up, we wipe our lid. As we always do with any canning process, you got to keep that lid clean. When you put your lid on, it's got to be wiped clean. And then we'll band on. Tighten it down, put it in our pressure cooker, and then we will pressure cook them. I use 15 pounds because of my altitude above sea level. Anything above 1,000 feet above sea level, you have to use 15 pounds in a weighted processor rather than 10 pounds, but I use 15 pounds for 15 minutes. 15 minutes of processing after your weight starts rocking on the top. And there we have it, 10 quarts of homegrown tomatoes, canned in the pressure canner. Now I did raw pack these, so there is some airspace in the top of it because they cook down during the processing. And if I would have hot packed these, in other words, I would have cooked them a little bit before I put them in, there would have been less airspace in the top. The raw packing is quicker and easier, and we'd already done some green beans, and so we were just going to raw pack them. And yes, there was some separation in the jars between the liquid, and the bottom was liquid, and everything was floated up to the top. But we just shake the jars, make it all come back together once it's cooled down and everything, and they're just fine. And like I said, a little bit of air in the top, but that's because we raw packed them. Had we cooked them, they would have cooked down more. We would have been able to pack more to a jar, but it would have taken a little longer, and we were wanting to get through as quickly as possible, so we raw packed them. We're happy with them, and we'll use those for soups, chili, and things of that nature, and look forward to getting some more. I think next time I might make some salsa. We'll see. Anyway, this is Trails N62 from our house to yours. God bless.